How do you piss off somebody living in spirit, or the astral side, or parallel dimensions, whatever you want to call it, whatever your frame of reference may be? And there is one direct way that will always get under their skin, guaranteed. If you do it, you will have far fewer friends if you are in communication with people who have crossed over, or you're having out of body experiences, or whatever it may be. There is definitely one thing you can do to really make them angry, and that's what I'm talking about in this video. And I have up on the screen a copy of the book The Way of Life by Arthur Findlay and John Sloan, who was a famous trance and direct voice, I believe, medium back in the heyday, 50s, 60s, I believe, and like other highly verifiable mediums from back in the days when I guess you could say the heyday of spiritual truth seeking. His work is very interesting and shines a light on specific details about what the other side is like. And so I encourage you, if you're a paranormal enthusiast, if your information about this subject kind of has stopped at ghosts that go boo and hang out in old buildings and make raspy noises on tape recorders, if you want to elaborate past that into the details of what other dimensions are like in their relationship with our world, I encourage you to pick up a book like this one. So I have that up on the screen, and we'll go more into this later because it's going to illustrate some points I'm bringing up coming up. So, yes, in this video, I want to talk about specifically where I've come from, what things I used to believe in, where I've arrived at, especially since having my own experiences communicating with what we call deceased people through out-of-body experiences and other channels as well, and how that also led to this channel, this YouTube channel, and my writing career, my books, and things of that nature. So I hope you like this video. Before we dive into this, if you want to get involved, please hit that subscribe button down below, as well as the notification bell. This is the only way to keep a channel like this going when YouTube doesn't really like non-mainstream content. If it's not about makeup and beauty tips or Katy Perry or whatever it might be, then YouTube pushes these channels down. They've also refused monetization of this channel, and so if you want to support these subjects, then I'd ask you to please become a patron at patreon.com/afterlife topics, little as a few bucks a month. You can also help direct where you'd like this channel to go, custom videos, things like that, and as well as the classes that we do twice a week. And those classes are highly engaging. We have huge archives, so if you want to get involved on that level, then please head to the Patreon page. The link is also in the description. So to continue. So how do you piss off a person in spirit? How do you really get under their ethereal skin? Well, what you can do is do what I used to do when I was first having out-of-body experiences and finding myself face-to-face with the other side and entities living on that side, which would include not only, for example, a so-called kind of ghost or earthbound spirit that was living in our house. It's like a young woman, and it was very much a case of the dual world aspect that you can have, just like in the film The Others, where you have a house that is on this dimension, and then it has a replica on the other dimension, but then both worlds are kind of intermeshing with each other, again exactly like the film The Others with Nicole Kidman. It's an old film from about 60, 70, 80 years ago, but you can find it in certain libraries. I'm just kidding. It was from like 2002, which feels like ages ago. So I highly recommend that film to get a better grasp on that subject. But to continue, having experiences like that, and then experiencing guides and centers of learning and temples and things of that nature, and then experiencing what I commonly call the middle astral plane, where many people whom I knew on this world who have passed away are now living, including most of my close family who all passed away in the last couple of years. So, major developments in my outlook and how I see this subject having evolved since about the 2014 era, which was also feels like a million years ago to me for some reason. So back then, and even a little bit further back from that, back in the early 2000s, or rather late 2000s, early 2010s, I, I was a little bit more, short of my own experiences, I was a little bit more plugged into the information on the periphery, as we would say, the authors who are not directly engaged in the subject, and trying to become a little bit more smart, a little bit more clever than everybody else. And oftentimes, these authors who will go nameless, they don't look at the big picture. They interpret information and say, well, maybe this is super psi, and maybe these deceased contacts and after death contacts are not real, but it's part of one's imagination, and maybe the psychic world is real, and maybe there is an afterlife, but it's more like just joining back with the cosmos, like some people, like I think Stuart Hameroff proposed that originally, that our consciousness just merges back into the greater collective when we die, which is still very much like death. Maybe the afterlife isn't quite a real place. Maybe when we astral project, the astral projection is literally a projection. It's just a bunch of our thoughts made manifest in a metaphorical way, as a way for computer program simulations of our deceased loved ones to make contact with us. These were a bunch of thoughts going through my head back then, and I also realized that those thoughts kind of poisoned the subject for me, because, and to be able to hold that idea and hold the idea of literal objective spirit communication, like you have to throw one out because they don't coincide. And certainly the subject of direct spirit communication, the area of objectivity, what people actually experience, what spirit people actually say, is a lot nicer than the alternative of maybe we're all being deceived, of so-called critical thinking, when critical thinking actually goes awry and begins sabotaging your quest for truth, because you're now over analyzing. And you're no longer critically thinking. You're picking apart details to a point where you're destroying the information. So from that point, I began having these experiences, and here's what I would do. I would go up to a spirit person. I'd say, so, I understand that you are not real. You are a part of my subconscious mind manifesting, or you're a greater entity pretending to be a solid physical person for my benefit. So please, given that I know you're not real, what is it that you can share with me? And why was I thinking this? Because there's no way the afterlife, the spirit world, the other side could be a solid, tangible, physical place of existence just like this world. Because that's what I was experiencing. Like you can reach down, pick up the soil, and there's bugs in the soil, and you get the dirt under your fingernails. And I'm thinking there's no way that a world this real could be the what's supposed to be an intangible sort of non-physical dream space, which is what I thought it was supposed to be. So when I did this, I did it a couple different times. So I'm just thinking about those two examples. I got very hostile reactions. One guy basically called me an a-hole. The same guy, he didn't want anything to do with me, and he just walked away. It's like he's like, screw you, man. I'd give the appropriate gesture, but I don't want YouTube to censor this channel more than it already is. So you'll get the gist. Let's say what finger here if I remove my ring finger. A second guy elaborated on his anger for me saying these things to him, and it was kind of a long rant because we had a long conversation, and he told me that I had a fickle heart, and that my mind was too critical, that I was entrenched in negativity, and that I was sabotaging my own experiences because I was doubting what is clearly a real world with real people and real souls. And he also had very little patience with me after that. And his main point to me was I'm a lost cause if I'm going to appear on their side, on their world as a visitor, and I'm going to doubt their existences. That I'm going to take away from them their beautiful lives on the astral level and claim that it's all an illusion for my benefit. Like, how solipsistic is that? How selfish is that for me to think that, there are trees and mountains or cityscapes with restaurants and cafes and clubs and polished looking streets and festivals and all these things you can think of. Take all of that away and say, oh, all of that is just my own hallucination. That it's not, it's not real. It couldn't be real because the afterlife, because some holier than thou, new agey or sciency writer comes along and says that the afterlife, according to my research, does not include any actual spirit communication. It has to be this non-physical dimension where we all float around in dream space and nobody has solid tangible existences, bodies, or anything like that. And the idea that really gets under my skin is that then they have spirits, which are literally ghosts, spirits, phantasms, non-physical entities with neither form nor function, have to incarnate on this world to be able to experience things like touching or whatever it might be. A trope that I've heard repeated in the new agey communities without any backing from valid spirit sources. Clearly, at this point, I realize I'm ranting, and so I apologize. So just to illustrate a little bit what I'm talking about, why those types of ideas are invalid, when we have books like this one, even without having your own experiences, highly verifiable mediums, whether that is Sloan, and it also include Leslie Flint in that circle, Arthur Findlay himself, and many more going back to Swedenborg, but we can, if I spent some time thinking about it, looking at my references, I could find many more sources. But I mean, this is just the descriptions that you hear about the other side, which by the way matches my own astral projection experiences. Here's somebody talking through Sloan about the dying process. Says, I wish I could portray to you the startled look on some of the faces of those who have made the change of death and find they are standing firmly grounded. We try to explain to them that they have passed from the earth life into the spirit world. As one young man, a young soldier, said to me, but I am myself. It is amazing. Look at this. Look at my hand. These are my legs. I am myself. I still have my body. Then it dawns upon them, and immediately their thought is of those left behind whom they love. It may be a mother, sister, brother, wife, or sweetheart. How to get in touch with them and let them know that everything is all right, that they still live. Their chief complaint is, oh, that I could tell them. We explain that this may be possible later on, and then things will be much better. Maybe in the future there is, like we see right now, technologies allowing direct ITC communication to our world. Maybe that will happen. And to answer the question about the physical apparatus on the astral side, he says, yes, my heart functions. All our organs function on the spirit world, but not just as in the human body. I do not understand very well myself, but I like to be near when some of the more shining and advanced entities come to talk to us and teach us. Do you know, I just plunk down and listen as earnestly as you would do yourselves when these more advanced entities come and talk. So these guys don't always even know the dynamics of that world, except it is a real functional world. And I would say organs and physical organs, I kind of have a theory that it may match chakra points, energy systems, and that bodies are necessary as tools to be able to navigate different dimensions, astrally, and even above astrally as we go into subjects of light bodies. So all this is the big picture about our non-corporeal existence, or even you could say corporeal existences, that just of a greater, more refined element on the astral plane. Now, as I talk about on this channel, the astral side of existence has rules different from here. For example, you can materialize things with your thought. I've heard this referred to as lifetronic physics. So on our side, we have Newtonian physics, and we have atomic physics, the structure of atoms, and very, very strong blocks between what can shape and change an atom or to change an electrical field. It's all rigidly held together. On that side, it's possible to use imagination stuff, thought stuff to change and alter the environment within reason, but it's not easy always. Oftentimes, you can change something, manipulate something, and it will bounce back to its original shape when you're done, unless you get more people together, a more collective mental power to change the world around you. So you could basically say it's a very magical type of existence compared to here, but it's still a higher dimensional existence where we still have bodies. I was debating with somebody recently who was arguing that all of these ideas are an attachment to materialism, and that there's a strict duality of materialist existence here and completely non-material, non-physical existence there, which is completely without any kind of form or physicality. It's just pure consciousness and pure thought. And all I can say about that is what a dull look at the spirit world. You would take away the rivers and forests and places of beauty beyond our imagination, and then you would rip that away from them and say that the afterlife is just purely thought and nothing more than that. Pure, just kind of like a cosmic internet where thought generated by different souls exists, but all of the accounts of the spirit side are not real. Looks like, how's it going? It's all right. Well, sorry, I'm doing a video. So that's it actually for this video. We have people coming in. They want to do some maintenance in my room. So I guess I'm going to wrap up. But you can get involved. Join the Facebook group at Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. You can check out afterlifetopics.com. See my books that are all available there, where I talk about some of these subjects in a lot more detail. It also helps introduce these concepts to people first trying to figure them out. And, please post your thoughts in the comments below. All right, until next time.